Morning, Charles Van Morgan live, about 6:45. So it's a little bit later than that. So we'll wait for people to come on in. This is Charles Van Morgan in the morning live, Unbridled News. And thank you all for coming. So today, I'll go back over this for people to come in. We're going to talk about a freedom of speech First Amendment case that I have some first-hand knowledge of the facts, and the pretty gruesome facts that I know about from talking firsthand to witnesses. It was live on patrol that night under the illusion that the government is run for you the people, but so don't hold that against me. I wasn't directly involved, but since I've learned that the government's not for you, the government's protesters against you. So thank you all. We got some people coming in now. Charles Van Morgan live in the morning, live at 6:45. Thank you all. So like and share if you like the content. We are talking about the dirty government. Get across this road without getting killed. The dirty government. So they're pretty dirty. We're going to talk about some facts where they actually lost the case in federal court. So let me turn this around here and thank y'all for coming. And we're live in the morning. Show you my sign. Let me turn this around. Here we go. Yeah, we're live, Charles Van Morgan. Here's my sign. Morgan, Governor 2026 ? I don't know if I'm running or not, but we'll go traveling across the state and get political clout. And if we don't win, at least we build up an audience, and we're getting our freedom of speech out, which is what this video is about. I'm going to tell you some crooked things the government does. There's my square icon. If you want to support the cause, click on the square icon. I'll drop it in the comments. There's my YouTube. You already know that. You're already there. And live now. On the other side, live now. We're still here for broad elections. They claim we just lost an election, but it was a rigged election. It was a fraudulent election. Fraud is, legal definition is misrepresenting material facts. So they misrepresented me in the news media, and the government, the protesters against me, I'm not a protester, they are, misrepresented material facts. So today we're going to talk about a First Amendment case where people in government power actually lost, and I know I have first-hand knowledge of it. It's kind of gruesome, the facts of the case, and people protesting police brutality, but I have first-hand knowledge talking to the witness that was actually on the scene of something very bad that happened. So we're on Chapman Highway holding my sign up, getting views. So here we go. See all the people coming down the road. We'll wave at them. And thank y'all very much for joining us. We're going to talk about freedom of speech case. We're here to talk about the rogue government, the dirty protesters in power that protest your freedom. They're protesters, we're not. This is our government. We don't have to protest. All we got to do is vote. We'll talk a little bit about voter apathy, and we'll talk about how if you win, you still don't win because they won't let you. They change the rules. Isn't that real good when you're in control of the biased government and you're just running it for yourself? And if the other side wins, you just change the rules where they don't win anything ever. You always win. You're like a glutton that gets so fat that you're even bad for yourself. That's what the government is. The government, people in government power are protesters against us. They are so dirty that they just won't keep getting power. That's not even good for them. And it's time. It's time. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let me see how many people I got. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Thank you all so much for joining me. We got over 13,000 viewers yesterday. We've had over 100,000 in the course of several days, and about 70,000 in the past 28 days. So we're getting an audience almost the size of the football stadium, which I'm wearing my favorite shirt today, my Tennessee shirt. You can click on the link online and buy one from a lady that sells these shirts. They're great shirts, so I'll put out a little plug for her. Super nice lady. So let's see how many subscribers we got, and we'll get right into the program. God bless y'all. Thank you for showing up. We've got some real important information. I've been reading. Again, that's dangerous when you read. You know, when you read educational books, it's dangerous. You're dangerous to the government. They want you dumb and not voting. And I've been reading again, rereading some stuff I already knew, getting it fresh in my mind so I can put it out to you. So thank you for honoring me with your attention. And we'll get right into it. Let me see how many people I got following. Like, subscribe, share, contribute if you can. If you can't, I understand. Every dollar keeps this movement going and pushes back the protesters, which are dirty people in power. So yeah, okay. Yeah, we're building up a real good audience this morning. So thank y'all so much for joining. And hopefully you can hear me. I'm loud and clear. So we're going to talk about Darlene Grant. Now, I was on patrol at UT Police Department back in the early 90s. Now, I started working in the jail and I built up to patrol, went to the academy, and I was in my 20s, so I was under the illusion that the government works for you, and I work for you. A lot of people in government work for you. And there's not a lot they can do about the corruption other than do the best they can and try to vote people out. Because if they say anything about it, then they'll get ostracized, they'll get defamed like they do me, lied on, and their dirty courts will put a stamp of legitimacy on stuff that's just obviously is blatantly a lie as far as daylight is from dark. I mean, that's what they tried to do to me. They tried to say it was daylight when it was dark. A car off the road in the dark was easily seeable, and that's a lie. And they sold that to the public because they put a judge's stamp on it. This is right. No, it's not. Just because a judge stamps legitimacy on something don't mean it's true. But I want to talk about a case, Darlene Grant, that the federal courts, the state courts, you ain't got a prayer in a Tennessee state court. They're so dirty. You won't get a legitimate hearing in Tennessee court. You'll get corruption, you'll get fined and court costs, and they put the money in their pocket and live fancy lives, have 2 and 3 houses where people are going homeless off your illegitimate fines and court costs. Now, that's what they do. I'm just telling you the truth. And I'm not afraid to say it. Illegitimate courts in Tennessee. I got a right to say that under our laws. They say, you're breaking the law, you're running down the government. No, I'm not. Read Article 1, Sections 1 and 2 of the Tennessee Constitution. We got a right to back up the protesters. The judges are protesters, lining their pockets with your money illegitimately, putting the weight of law, the stamp of law on obvious lies. I mean, it ain't even hard to figure out. That's a lie. Read some of the rulings and say, man, what was behind that? First, ask yourself, whose daddy is it that's going through the court? If they got somebody that's important daddy, then the case is decided in their favor every damn time, regardless of the facts. They bury them and lie about them. So let's talk about Darlene Grant, where she was in 1990 behind the church up there at Greystone. I think it's a Presbyterian church, nothing against the church. And she was back in the back parking lot after dark. And Vince Knipe, a patrolman for the University of Tennessee, was patrolling, used to be off-campus housing at Woodlawn Housing, used to be student apartments, and we would patrol that. Outline patrol would go there and drive around that area. And Vince Knight used to drive behind the church and then go pull out in the next parking lot was the apartments, because sometimes people would break into the apartments, break into cars in the apartments, and then they would park in the church parking lot, which was right next door, Greystone Baptist Church. So he'd pull in there, check it out, make sure there wasn't any cars back there. And it was after dark, midnight shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift that I worked. I was over on the UT agricultural campus on patrol over there, driving around. And where something bad happened over there too, but I wasn't involved in that, not that night. But that's where the murder of the Job Corps victim happened. One of the most evil people on the planet murdered a young girl in satanic worship. That was another night. And but I was over there patrolling, and what happened is Vince Knight put it out on the radio. He was in pursuit, because he had pulled in behind that church. He's now deceased. Very good officer, Vince Knight. He pulled in behind that church, and there was somebody back there, Darlene Grant, and I think her husband. And they pulled out of their high rate of speed, and Vince was trying to stop them. And they wouldn't stop, so they went down Chapman Highway to high rate of speed. He called in, he was in pursuit. Now, this is back in the 90s. Law enforcement was different back in the 90s. They used to believe what police said. And then the Rodney King incident started changing a lot of stuff, where you had to prove stuff too. And so, which is a good thing and a bad thing sometimes. Officers primarily have to worry about their safety. Getting sued or losing your job and being defamed is way down on the list of losing your life. A lot of officers lose their lives. In fact, the year that I was fired in a pursuit, which I could have lost my life, but I was experienced. I knew how to protect myself from getting killed. I didn't hit anybody. There were 3 officers that lost their lives in high-speed pursuits. So, but the state highway patrol didn't care about that. I was just a piece of meat to them. So I honor officers that have lost their lives in defense of public peace. But Vince Knight got in pursuit of that lady. He didn't know it was a woman at the time. Going down Chapman Highway, north on Chapman, came down here to where I'm at now, which is Blunt Avenue. She turned right onto Blunt Avenue, and I remember listening to it on the radio, and I was headed this way from the ad campus, because there was an officer in pursuit and needed some assistance, so I was headed this way. And they also notified the Knoxville Police Department. I was working for UT at the time. So I was headed this way on the farm, and I was new, so I was all pumped up. And knew it was a bad situation. I could tell by his voice. They weren't stopping. They went down Blunt Avenue here, this road right here. And he started saying they were bouncing off parked cars. She was slamming into the side of parked cars. So she was so intoxicated. And so it was a extremely alarming situation. I mean, he's in pursuit of her. She was bouncing off parked cars. They keep going, and I'm listening on the radio trying to get to them. I went one way and decided the best way to go there is to go another way, and I was headed this way. And Lieutenant Tom Frills was supervising that night, so he was on his way over here. And then they got over towards Sevier Avenue, where the fire department is, and they were doing road construction, and the road ends over there. The road, literally the bottom dropped out because of road construction over there by the fire department in South Knoxville. So she got out of her car, and her husband was in the car. I think it was her husband. She got out of the car, out of the driver's seat, and took off running. And police, Vince Knight, and a city officer caught up to him at the time. All this resulted in a protest against the government that resulted in a federal lawsuit. But I'm just telling you what happened. And she got out and took off running. Vince Knight took off chasing her. And the more professional, apparently, maybe more political, Knoxville Police Department, and Officer Wagner caught up with Vince Knipe, and he got out of the car and was chasing the lady down. She got out on foot and started running by the fire department over on Sevier Avenue near the fire department because the road ended. And Officer Wagner, according to Vince Knipe, who was right on the scene, told me he had his gun in his hand. And I can understand that. I mean, they got somebody driving violently, bouncing off cars, a intense police pursuit where somebody's not even just leaving the scene, pursuing police trying to stop them. They're literally bouncing off cars, numerous wrecks, and hitting parked cars. And Wagner and Vince Knipe get out, chase the lady after she gets out on foot because the road ends. And Wagner's got his gun in his hand. I can understand that. But he takes off chasing her. And I guess he forgets he has his gun in his hand, or I don't know. But he reaches out to grab the woman, gets up on her close enough, and is running faster than her. Reaches out to grab the woman. And this is where the bad thing happened. I guess he forgets he's got his gun in his hand with his finger on the trigger. And when he reaches out to grab her, the gun goes off. And this happened right here in Knoxville, 1991, I think, or two. And when he reached out to grab her, his finger was on the trigger, and he pulled the trigger and shot her right in the back of the head. Shot Darlene. And she fell over, and Vince Knipe telling me later that she fell on the ground. He seen a bullet hole in the back of her head. And then blood starts spurting out of it. And it killed her. Dead right there, sad. I didn't get to the scene. Lieutenant Frills got there, and he starts calling the response team. Investigators from the police department got there. So there was no need for me to continue. The scene was under control. Well, the bad incident happened, so I didn't know what happened. I talked to Vince Knipe in the days following, and he told me what happened. What happened is an Knoxville Police Department officer had accidentally killed Darlene Grant. And there was a protest movement that started because of that, alleging police brutality. And a man started a group on the UT campus for Grant and alleging police brutality, which it was an accident. I don't know. That was back in the 90s. The officer didn't even get fired. Or nothing bad happened to him, but that was a different circumstance in the 90s. He made a mistake. And she was dangerous and violent, but she didn't deserve that. But no charges were ever filed or anything. And the protest group started on UT campus, and they went to they handed out flyers all over campus protesting the police brutality of that woman getting killed accidentally. And I know it was accidentally because I talked to Vince Knipe, who was right there on the scene. That's what he told me. So it was accidental. And these people. So they were hanging out a banner over the pedestrian bridge on the UT campus, University of Tennessee campus, the pedestrian bridge, that real old one that's over there, right past between 16th and 17th Street. And it's been there forever. And protesting and alleging excessive force and running down UT police and running down the Knoxville police. So the UT Police Department, authorized by Ed Yovella and the dean of the university, sent police over there, Anthony Bowman, and a lieutenant over there, Bob Wyrick, and another couple officers went over there and told the man to take the signs down. And he agreed to it first, and then he came back later put them back up. And then that's when the stuff went down. And he was protesting the initial pursuit and death of Darlene Grant. Let me see how many people I got on here and we'll finish the story. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank y'all for listening. This is about freedom of speech. I'll get to that. So yeah, we got a bunch of people on here. Thank y'all so much. So they went back because he initially agreed to take the signs down. He did. And then he went back and hung them back up. And Anthony Bowman told him to take it down, and he refused to. He told him that they let other people hang signs up there, so he ought to be allowed to hang his sign up there. You know, just because the government doesn't like your message, if it's in a legal place, they're not allowed under the law, and sometimes the courts don't back up the law, they're not allowed under the law to regulate the content of your message. They can't say you can speak on a public sidewalk or in a public forum, which that was a public forum, crossover crosswalk. You can speak, but you can't say this, or you can't say that. It's content regulation. They're regulating the content of somebody's speech. You can speak on this bridge if you're advertising for the volunteer football team, but you can't speak on this bridge if you're protesting a death by police and going against that and saying something about it. See, the government's not allowed to regulate your content, in America anyway. But a lot of times they get by with it. So Anthony Bowman told him to take it down, and they wouldn't take it down, that he was trying to confiscate the banner. And they got into a little tug of war over the banner. And Anthony Bowman said, "Give me that GD thing." And they got into a fight. And several officers and one man over the banner and the message, and end up putting his head in one of those flower pots and apparently injuring the defendant that was hanging up the sign. So they took him down to the police department, charged him with disorderly conduct and several other violations, and the charges were ultimately dismissed, and they weren't prosecuted. So evidently the prosecutor knew a little bit about the law, but nowadays it's gotten even worse. But the man sued in federal court, alleging that UT violated his First Amendment rights, right to free speech in a public forum, and also his Fourth Amendment right to be free from unlawful seizure. And the federal court had a trial on it before a jury right down here in Knoxville, Eastern District of Tennessee. And it went to trial before a jury, and a jury of Knoxville citizens listened to all the evidence and decided that Anthony Bowman violated the affiant's constitutional rights, that he had a right to hang the sign up there, and that he shouldn't have been arrested, violated his rights. So they found him guilty and fined Anthony Bowman, I think it was $250, and the man appealed because of the limited amount of fine. He claimed he suffered $11,000 in medical bills, so he appealed the jury verdict as far as the amount that they had to pay him, and it went up on appeal. And UT, of course, appealed that they owed him anything. They claimed that Anthony Bowman didn't do anything wrong. He didn't violate his First Amendment rights. He didn't violate his Fourth Amendment rights, and that he was entitled to qualified immunity because he was acting as a law enforcement officer, and he testified in court that he was just doing what he was told to do by Edward Yovella and the dean of the university, which may be about right. So officers, remember, they'll hang you out. But Edward Yovella and the dean were found also to have violated the affiant's constitutional rights in federal court, saying that he had a right to hang the banner up. And I'm going to get to another important detail about that now and tell you how the government wins anyway. So a federal jury decided that the law enforcement was wrong and we got a right to protest the government in a public forum, which is right. That's absolutely the truth. And I'm not protesting, the government protests us, but I got a right to say things against the government that's truthful, just like I am now. Fraud elections, and they are fraud elections by the state-run media. But on appeal, the federal judges, 3 of them, heard the appeal, and they decided that Anthony Bowman did violate the defendant's constitutional rights, the affiant in the lawsuit, and he either violated both or one. The jury wasn't specific about which right he violated. They just found in favor of the affiant and they found against UT Police and Anthony Bowman that he could hang signs up there, had every right to. The government can't allow volunteer football, go Vols, or any other signs, and not allow signs against the government in a public forum. So that he did, but they were not sure about what the jury decided, if he violated his Fourth Amendment right to be free from unlawful seizure, if they violated his right by arresting. So they remanded it back to the trial court, which is unusual, for damages. It's called an additor, but an additor is not allowed in federal court, where they can't increase the damages that you ask for. But in that particular case, they decided that the jury hadn't been specific about what they could give him, about what they adjudicated on. So they allowed it to go back to the trial court for an award of damages, since he suffered 11,000 damages and they only gave him 250. That was obviously an error, and because of his medical expenses. So, and they adjudicated that where the officer knew or should have known of a obvious constitutional right that he shouldn't have violated, that it's an obvious constitutional right for freedom of speech, that it's something every officer should know. And officers have qualified immunity if it's a right that's not readily known or available, or that they maybe shouldn't know about, like if a law just changed or something. But a federal constitutional right like freedom of speech and unlawful arrest is something that they ought to know about, and you don't get qualified immunity when you know about the offense that is readily available, constitutional rights. They ought to teach people about that in their basic police academies. So they adjudicated, they ruled against that he lost his qualified immunity. So if they violate your constitutional rights, they lose their qualified immunity. There's no immunity for stuff they ought to know. And they ought to teach them about that in their law enforcement classes. So, and I had nothing to do with that. You say, well, you're a police officer then, but I had nothing to do with that. And I was under the delusion then, I was in my 20s, that government was good, almost to the equate of government is like God. And it's not. It's evil and wicked as hell. They're dirty people. And I had nothing to do with that. And Vince Knipe was just doing his job. He didn't do anything wrong to the lady, trying to take her into custody because she was dangerous to society. And it's unfortunate what happened to her. But government can't tell us what to say and what not to say, even though they tried. They tried at the University of Tennessee. Ed Govella, former chief of police, lost that lawsuit. He was wrong in what he did in his orders and instructions to Anthony Bowman. Anthony Bowman was wrong in what he did. He shouldn't have took the sign away. And he shouldn't have arrested the man. So the ball fell on him. So, and I'm going to get to another important point here in just a second about they win anyway. And here's how they win. I'm going to show you a prime example of how the government wins anyway. So they lost in federal court, but they still win. Because how? Because they control the rules. And I'm going to show you a little picture here of a specific way that they control the rules. They don't win the game, they change the rules and they win it anyway. And here's how they do it. This is important because there's only one thing we can do about that. yeah, we got over 200 people, is we have to control the game. We have to get where we're in control of the game. We have to vote. And we'll talk about voter apathy here a little later. Let me show you how they win. They win anyway, even when they lose, because here's what the University of Tennessee did, and I'm not at the bridge, I'm at a different place. After they lost that lawsuit, because they could hang up any sign that they couldn't regulate the content. If they allowed go Vols, they had to allow signs that said police were brutal in that police killing. So what they did is they changed the rules. If you go to that bridge today, you will find at the beginning of that bridge, you will find a sign that says no signs allowed on both ends of the bridge. So they see the people in power, Ed Yovella and Dean, changed the rules where you can't hang go Vol signs over that, because if you can do that, you got to be able to say the police killed somebody wrongfully. So they changed the rules where you can't hang no signs up there, which they can do that. That's not content regulation. That's saying no signs on this bridge, and they use safety reasons that it might fall on somebody or whatever, but they just excuse it. But they change the rules. That's how they stay in control no matter what. They just change the rules. If you go to that bridge today, there's a sign that says no banners on the bridge, and they can do that because they're not allowing any banners. Not go Vols or violence against police, where before they were trying to just banners that they wanted. They were trying to control the public discourse. And exactly what they did to me. Exactly the same thing they did to me. This example just the other day, alive and well, and I'm right here on the scene of what they did to me. Many of y'all seen the Knoxville police here having it out with me, trying to get me to leave a legal parking space that I had, which I told them I didn't want to get arrested. I would leave, but I would just complain about it later. And it's on video. I showed part of it yesterday morning. They were listening to this corporate thug right here that works for the Hilton, the corporate thug. And here's one of them right here. Yeah, drop the pick off. So yeah, we'll get this. We'll get them on tape here so anybody can park here now. But here's what they did. It used to be taxi parking only. It used to be taxi parking only. Now, this is what these thugs did. Now, they knew they couldn't make me move, and they argued with me, a big hassle, and I didn't even park here because I didn't want to deal with the hassle of the Knoxville Police Department. So now they changed the signs. Look at this right here. They changed the sign stop and go. Immediately after I exercised my rights and said I can park here, I'm allowed to park here, I pay to park here, they took my parking away and made it a temporary parking space. Look at this right here. This is the government, the Knoxville City government, Knoxville City Police Department. That's what they did. They changed the rules. Well, we got rights to change the sign. We'll just take your right away from you. Same thing they did over at the bridge. They win every time. They control the rules. Now, I paid for this space, but they've taken it away from me. They've taken part of what I paid for them away, part of the agreement away. They don't keep their agreements. The government doesn't keep their agreements. I signed a certificate of public conveyance that I had to pay a lot of money to the city of Knoxville, and with the understanding that there are two places to park a taxi in the city of Knoxville. One of them's right here. And it used to be taxi parking only. And now, since I was parked here trying to make money, now, almost the next day, they recognize, hey, okay, you're right. That's what the lieutenant told me. You're right. We can't make you leave. But he told me, and I got it on. It's on video partly, that if you leave, then what we'll do, everything's fine. But if you don't leave, what we're going to do is, I'm going to go talk to the parking permit person. And this is the Knoxville Police Department. This is your government authorities. You know, the police department that shoots and kills people. Are they honest about that? I know they're not honest about this, because I know what they told me. They said, if you leave, then we won't do that, and you can park here and everything's fine. So, and that's not the reason I left. I left because they were going to have a bus, even though buses weren't allowed to park here. That I was going to be a good person and allow a bus to park here. I mean, I'm not unreasonable, because they weren't going to be here forever. I've seen buses park here all night where I couldn't park here before. Now, I never called the police. But so I was going to leave, but I didn't like being bullied. And that guy was bullying me, calls me on the phone, tells me to leave my car. The Knoxville police, literally, when I could park here, threatened to tow my car while I was legally parked here. Their argument was there's a no parking sign, but the no parking sign was for everybody else, that nobody could park there except taxis, because below that said taxi parking only. So that idiot at the Hilton here wanted to just point out this corporation that if they start to go under, your tax monies will keep them in business. And if I start to go under, you won't bail me out. But so they just do whatever they want to do and run right over you. And the Uber and Lyft, you know, they're part of this program, and I'm going to explain to you about that, how they're not safe. But the Knoxville Police Department, used to have the Department of Safety, you know, they're supposed to be in it for your safety. And taxis are safer than Uber and Lyft, and I'll explain to you that. But they told me if I left, then they wouldn't do all that. And then about 2 days later, they changed the sign. Look at this sign here. It's only 15-minute flasher. Towing enforced. It's not parking only. So if they don't win, and they didn't win, they just change the damn rules. They just do whatever the hell they want to do, don't they? And they also, I mean, I could sue them in court over that because they're violating several rights of mine. But I think that there are fights to fight and fights not to fight. And I still haven't made up my mind completely. I may. We'll see what else they do. They continue to attack me, I'll fight back. Not like they do, which sometimes unlawfully taking people's lives, accidentally or on purpose. I just told you about that. I mean, I know they did that. But I fight legitimately through the courts. The federal court's a little less biased than state courts. You won't get a legitimate ruling in a state court. They'll rule for the city police department every damn time. A federal court might not. They ruled that man could protest a violent, unlawful, accidental killing. So we'll see what they do. But I think that if buses need to park here, and taxis hardly ever parked here, I hardly ever use this space. I used it infrequently. So I think, and I wondered why, and I'm just being honest. I'm an honest person. They're not. They just lied to me, right to my face and changed it. But I'm just pointing out the lie because they said they wouldn't, and then they did, and I even cooperated with them. It doesn't matter if you cooperate. They're the boss. If you don't do exactly what they say when they tell you to, they'll kill you, accidentally or on purpose. That's the Knoxville Police Department. Even police officers would tell you that. They told me some of the new ones are dangerous as hell. So that's what they did. They changed the rules, to fit what they're doing. So yeah, they just changed the sign. See how the city police department take my taxi space away from me? Yeah. So yeah, but you don't want to be on camera. But they just changed the rules to fit what they want to do. And do you believe them when they take somebody's life and it's in private? I'm telling you what happened. They told me if you leave, then we won't go to the taxi inspector and have the signs changed. We'll just change the rules. But if you don't, then I'll just do that. And then I left anyway, and they still changed it. So they lied right to me. That's what they do. They lie. And you know, they kill too. So I'm just saying. Now, not all police officers are that way, but a lot of them are. And here's a specific instance that happened just a week ago. They do this all the time. You have no rights. There's no way you can win because they're in control. And they get in control by their dirty proxy. Go over to UT. You can't hang a sign across the place over there at UT because if you do, they'll arrest you because they got warning signs telling you no banners at all. So they changed that rule. So they just changed the rules. The only thing we can do about it is vote, and get control of the rules. And I just want to show you how the Knoxville Police Department has made your safety here in Knoxville more dangerous. They're supposed to be for your safety. They're not for your safety. They could care less about your safety. They care about power. You know, they're going to win. They're going to squash little Charles Van Morgan out. You ain't squashing me out. You ain't squashing me nowhere. You know, people have technology today where they can put out the truth. Anybody comes out here and messes with me, I'm on a public sidewalk. I'll do whatever I want to do. So yeah, what a bunch of dirtbags here at the Hilton that take my right away. So here's how the Knoxville Police Department has just made your safety more dangerous. The Knoxville Police Department is supposed to be for your safety. And I'm talking about the police chief from Louisiana, who you know, I mean, he's probably behind this. And yeah, I'm talking to him, you dirtbag. Why don't you go back to Louisiana, you creep? Yeah, I mean, and he won't even do nothing to him. He'll send one of his thugs out here, like the 2 thugs that were here the other day. So, yeah, I'm standing up to them. Look what they did. They took my parking space away. I signed an agreement, I signed an agreement a year ago about this time and paid them money with the understanding that I have a place to park here in the other place. And now, in the middle of the agreement, because I was parked here and a corporation, Uber and Lyft, and also the Hilton wanted me to move, then they just change the rules and say, we'll go by the corpse. We'll go. That's what they are, the corpse. We'll go by the corpse. We'll do what they tell them to do. Wonder why that is. Do they get donations to their political campaigns? I don't know. I'm just saying, mom and pop stores and your regular people, we got to obey the corporations and obey Hilton. You know, I'm not going to Hilton, and I won't never go to Hilton anymore because the way that psycho was out here committing disorderly conduct. And then the police were trying to tell me how I was committing disorderly conduct. That's how they do you. That's how they do. I was out here because they called me out here and told me they were going to tow my car if I didn't move it in a park space where I was an active taxi driver. I answered the phone, thought I had a taxi. They were even joking around with me. I showed you the video yesterday. And they called me here. I asked them, I said to one of their face, what I want you to do is leave me alone, leave me alone. And the police lieutenant comes here and he starts telling me, you know, he's wanting me to move real fast because they got a lot of calls all over the city. I didn't call them. Go on, leave me alone, let me park here. So they were going to get me to leave illegitimately, they even admitted, because a corporation called them. And they didn't say nothing about him calling them and taking their time from public safety over his parking space that he got and made it more dangerous for you. So Hilton, the corporation, and Uber and Lyft make it more dangerous for you. And the Knoxville Police Department just fell right in line with the power. It's not about public safety, it's about power. That's how dirty these people are. Look at the sign. Does it say taxis only? No, because these people are dirty as hell, crooked as hell, and just changed the rules right in the game. So he accused me of taking their time. I didn't take their time. I didn't call them. See how they flipped that? He said, you know, we got a lot of calls and he wants me to go. Leave me alone, go on. I didn't stop you. I didn't call you, didn't ask you, don't want you here. I want you to let me have my rights. Leave me alone. That's what I told him. But the man from the Hilton called them that wasted their time. They don't say that to him. He comes out here raising his hand, lying about a sign, trying to act like he's a lawyer. Been to law school, arguing about what a street sign means, arguing it in his favor. That's a total lie. And saying that I can't park there because there's no parking sign at the top, even though that no parking sign at the top means he can't park there. He can't park his buses there because right below it says taxi parking only. So he's trying to change the rules, a lying dirtbag, because he wants my parking space. And he got it. They gave it to him. Look at that. They gave it to him. They gave a corporation, Hilton, my parking space. And let me explain to you how it makes it more dangerous for you. And he even came out here. Let me explain to you about that dirtbag too. My personality is enthusiastic, charismatic. That's me. That's who I am. I know no law that says you can't be charismatic and enthusiastic. They want to criminalize me for being enthusiastic and charismatic. Isn't that interesting? It's against the law to be dogmatic and enthusiastic and to tell the truth. And they were indicating, they called me here. I wasn't even anywhere. I wasn't here. I was listening to my phone, but they called me here in front of them and then accused me of being hyped up, like trying to say my personality, trying to indicate that they're trying to figure out if they can get a charge for disorderly conduct. Yeah, we'll stick him with that. You know, the famous charge that they get you when they can't figure out nothing else. They say you're disorderly because you're not going along with a program to violate your rights. Now here's some firemen. And God bless firemen. If you're ever in need of help, they're angels when they show up. They usually respond first here in Knoxville. So I'm not against all government. But they don't like the government either. I've talked to firemen. They don't like the way the city of Knoxville's run by these thugs. So they start to figure out, like they charged the man that was protesting on the bridge with disorderly conduct. Now, it didn't fly. They've charged me with that before, too, when I was running for government. But it didn't fly. You know, that's the charge they use, and they're trying to put evidence on the tape. I know how they do. Like in a DUI test, if somebody steps off the line, you're doing a DUI test, you say, you stepped off the line because you're documenting it. So they're trying to out here document, hell, he's hyped up. I wasn't hyped up. This is who I am. It's not criminal to be who you are. They want to criminalize personalities. Wow, isn't that interesting? Criminalize personalities. Yeah, you're in public. They want to criminalize personalities. Yeah, good luck with that. It'll be dismissed, and I'll see you in federal court. An older officer I've dealt with, talked to before, they won't do you that way. They won't do you that way. They'll talk to you like a man. These little cowards out here try to rig up charges against you. They ain't never been to federal court. Welcome. Let's see what a federal jury would say. But he came out here, and y'all seen him, he's on video raising his hand, lying about stuff. He's in a public place with intent to cause public annoyance or alarm. Is very disruptive. He was disruptive to my business, which is a legitimate business out here on the sidewalk. The police even tried to say that this was his parking space. This isn't his parking space. That this was his property. I can't park. It's not his property. That's their property. Their property's right over there. I pulled in to pick up guests over there, and they won't even let me. They told me I had to leave, which I did. That's their property. But then when I pay for a parking space, this is their property too, because corporations do whatever the hell they want to do. And that's what we're coming to. Backed up by law enforcement, crooked law enforcement. That's crooked what they did to me. Crooked. Knoxville Police Department's crooked as hell. I mean, you wonder about how many times they kill people. And wonder if they're telling the truth about that. They never have mics on. And I know I was here. I know what they told me, and they lied. Knoxville Police Department's a bunch of liars. Not all of them. Some of them. That's what they did. So yeah, let's see here. Got a bunch of people in here. So let me show you how the police, out for public safety, made it more dangerous. Now here's what they do. When I get a taxi permit, I got to go down there to the police department. They got all kinds of stringent rules. You would not believe the rules you have to go through to get a taxi. You have to have the lettering of such size. You have to have numbers on all sides of the vehicle. And it's not for your safety. They don't care that taxi driving is as dangerous as being a police officer. It's so that they can find you and locate you if somebody accuses you of something you didn't even do. So they know the number of the car and the company to call. And they make, this is an expired one, but they give you this ID, a driver permit. But they're a driver permit. You got to go down there and you got to get a driver permit. See, Uber and Lyft drivers that can pull in here now and park don't have to have this driver permit. This driver permit's important. And I don't care to get one because they fingerprint you. You go in there and you put your thumbprint down and they know who I am. Before they let you drive a taxi, you have to be fingerprinted. And so I'll go down there and I get fingerprinted. I have to even pay for it. Uber and Lyft drivers don't have to pay for it. So they know who I am. If I do something illegal, and I won't, I've been accused of it. Had people harass me, and then they call the police and complain, and the police continue the harassment of citizens that have endangered my life. I mean, that's what they do. and I stand my ground. I tell them, if you're accusing me of a crime, which I didn't commit, I don't have to answer questions. No, thank you. I mean, So, and they've done that before, literally. And taxi driving is one of the most dangerous jobs that you can get. As dangerous, statistically, taxi drivers get killed. The last police officer was killed in the 70s, not even on duty. The last taxi driver was killed is in 2014, shot in the back. But they don't care about my safety. They want me under their control, going to order me around, can't even park in a parking space. Yeah, right. Thank you, Knoxville Police. I appreciate your respect towards me. Let me tell you what, you'll get the same damn respect back that you show me. I won't do anything illegal, but where I got it right next time, I'll stay here until you come and change the signs, and I'll record you saying it. You got that, police chief from Louisiana, you low-life thug? So I got a right to say that about you, big boy. I'll sue your ass in federal court, and we'll see what a federal judge says about you. Maybe we'll send you back to Louisiana, and I'll get me some damn campaign money. Even Knoxville police officers don't like you. You fired an officer for taking property out of the locker. That officers do that all the time. What'd you have against that officer that's been on the department longer than you have? A black officer, there's one of the best officers in the department. You fired him and accused him of stealing. He didn't steal. That is a routine thing they do. Take items of clothing out of the locker room that are left there by officers and people that leave the department. He didn't know that it belonged to somebody and brought it back immediately, and you fired him. Accused him of theft and wrote him a ticket. I wonder what happened about the ticket. That's what kind of thug you are. I'd accuse you of being a fraud and dangerous to public safety. Big old smile on your face. Yeah, right. You're a thug. You ought to go back home. Knoxville don't put up with these people that come from outside that are controlled by the mayor. So I'm just telling you. So let's see how many people we got in here now. But anyway, yeah. Let's see if I keep my taxi permit now. I lose my $20 a month. I'll sue them in federal court. They take my taxi away from me for speaking out against a dirty, rotten police chief that's controlled 100% by the mayor. That's why she got him from Louisiana, because he has no politics here. He has to do exactly what she says, because she fires him, he can't do nothing. If they have a police chief that's from Knoxville and the mayor fires him, they got a lot of support from the community, and the community will say, no, wait a minute, you ain't firing that person. They grew up home, raised here in Knoxville, been serving Knoxville all their life, and they might get rid of the mayor. But no, see, she won't do that. So, yeah, spending your money on political rallies. So, Uber and Lyft don't have to have fingerprinted. All they have to do is type in information in a cell phone. It can be anybody. They could type in your name in their cell phone, get your driver's license number, type in your information, get a picture that looks similar to yours. They don't have to show up anywhere. Do it all on the phone. It could be fraudulent. So somebody, John Doe could be out here. Somebody, a rapist from Guatemala could be out here driving Uber and typed in as you, and then he raped somebody or killed somebody. And they're looking for you because he's used your name to type in a cell phone information. Because he doesn't have to be fingerprinted, just type stuff in a phone. Unlike a taxi driver, they know who you are. You have to go down to the police department, show up in person, they take your picture, thumbprint you, so they know who you are. So if a taxi driver does something, they know who you are. If Uber driver or Lyft does something, it may be them that they typed in their cell phone, went through the corporation, so the corporation can make billions of dollars. Or it may be you that they put in fraudulently, and it's somebody else, and they never find them. They go back to Guatemala after they raped and killed somebody because there's no thumbprint down, and they don't have to pay for all that. So the Knoxville Police Department, in effect, has allowed possibly a rapist to pull up here from Guatemala using your information. He's driving under your name. They think it's you, and when they get complained on and they check the records of who's driving, it's under your name because he put your name in fraudulently. So they'll be looking for you, and he'll get away because they don't know who it is, because all these Uber and Lyft drivers that they've allowed anybody to stop here, that they've allowed will pull up here and be able to park here, and they don't have any controls on them. They had controls on me, but it's not about public safety. It's about their ego. They got a big ego the size of California, and we're going to win, and we'll change the sign, and we don't care if the public is endangered because of our rules. We're going to do what we're going to do. Yeah, okay, Knoxville police. And there's people like me that pointed out, you're not out for public safety. You're out for your ego. And if you got in a situation where you could take my life and lie about it, then you would, wouldn't you? See, I wouldn't do that to you. I'll put out the truth about you all. Bunch of low-life thugs. How you doing? See how they let Uber and Lyft take a taxi space instead of a taxi that gets thumbprinted? That's crooked as hell, isn't it? That's what the Knoxville police did. So yeah, so I'm just telling you the truth. Just telling you the truth. I'm not some thug idiot. I graduated from their law schools. I met some of their judges that are dirty as hell. I know they are. I know them by name. They're dirty as hell. They lie, cheat, do whatever they want to do. It's about their ego. It ain't about public safety. They could care less about you. They could care less. They care about keeping their power and making you move out of a parking space, or you do whatever they order you to do. They don't care about your safety. I cared about your safety. I got proof positive to show it. I led the state in drunk driving arrest. And these thugs make me move and act like I'm committing disorderly conduct when they're the ones actually committing disorderly conduct. But see how that's sociology, how they make a choice and who's doing wrong and who's doing right. It has nothing to do with the facts. I was out here legitimately driving a taxi in a space that I had a legitimate right to, doing exactly what I was supposed to do. Somebody from a corporation that's got more power was out here committing disorderly conduct and acting absurd and lying about stuff. But they didn't say that about him, did they now? The Knoxville police. And because of what the corporation did, and Uber and Lyft, the Knoxville Police Department has made it more dangerous for you. They have no control over Uber and Lyft. They don't know who they are. If they rape or rob somebody, it may be the person they've entered in the cell phone, or it may not be. Taxis are safer than those. Now, you may have a taxi driver do something wrong to you. I'm not saying, but I'm telling you, they know how to find them because they've seen them. They have a picture of them. They know where I live and everything. And they make you give a driving history. They don't know that about Uber and Lyft, but they don't care. They don't care about that. It's about their ego, isn't it? So that's how they win, no matter what you do. That's how they win. So a bunch of thugs is what they are. So let's see them come out here and try to get me off a public sidewalk. See what kind of sparks will fly then. I have a right to stand on a public sidewalk and speak out against them. I think they done lost that case in federal court with Anthony Bowman and Chief Yovella. Let me see how many people I have in here. I'm gonna close in just a minute. So yeah, we've been on here close to an hour. We may have a marathon one day where I'm going to talk about government corruption and some of the dirty, crooked stuff they do. Just the stuff they do to me is so alarming. I mean, if you look for it, you'll find it's easy to find. They don't care about your safety. They don't care about your well-being. And here's the thing we can do about it. Here's the kicker. Here's the important thing. And I said all that negative, which is the truth. Reality is the truth. Sometimes it's sad, but here's the good part. Here's the good part. The really good part. And this is why I'm out here. This is why I'm out here. I know how bad it is. Most people I don't have to convince. I'm just showing you up close and personal. They killed somebody. People protesting. They won't even allow you to do that. Throw you down and put you in the hospital. And I know they've done that to me. If you stand up for your rights, they change the rules. The only way we can win, this is the positive part. Now listen to this really closely, is vote. Vote. Now that's what they want to tackle me for and put me in jail for saying go vote. Let them go ahead. I'm not running from anybody. They're running from us. They're the protesters. This is our state. This is our country. It's our vote. If we get 74% of people don't vote, they only have 26% win. If we get 74%, if we get 26% of the 74%, we can win elections. We can overturn their dictatorship, their thugs, and we can show them who's the boss. We're the boss. We got more votes than they do. That's what they're afraid of. That's why they don't want me out here publishing this stuff against these people. And I'm not promoting hurting police. So that's what they don't want you to hear. They won't play this part. I'm promoting vote them out. Vote them out. That's all we got to do is vote them out of office. So get together and vote. Voters of Tennessee, get enraged. Get enraged and vote them out, and we can get encouraged. Now let's talk about one other issue is that I've read about a little bit about in sociology is voter apathy, which is where voters, for several reasons, don't think they'll make a difference. And let me tell you, you can make a difference. And I just explained to you one reason why, because they only got 26% of the vote. Out of 100%, they only got 26%. So we have a lot of the pie. We don't even have to get all of it to vote these thugs out of office and park where we're allowed to. And that's just a minor thing. That's just a minor thing. The fact that they DRT, leave you dead right there, is one of the most important things. And they will, and they do all the time. They print statistics about officers getting killed. They don't print any statistics about where officers kill people. And some of it unjustifiably. I explained to you yesterday how they manipulate the internal affairs to get rid of people that they want. Has little to nothing to do with officers being unprofessional. So voter apathy. Now, we got more of us than there are them. If even a small portion of the people that don't vote or not registered vote, we can beat these thugs. They only got 20%, 6% of the 100%. That's not many that we can change the power structure in your favor, not theirs. And they try to convince you through the news media who to vote for and who not to. And we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. But one thinking about voter apathy is the fact that people don't think that their vote matters. They don't think they can make a difference. And that's what they try to convince you of, that your vote won't matter. It will matter. They have a little bit of vote, a small piece of the pie. You can get, if we get a little bit of the 76%, only 20%, 6%, a little bit over that, then we win. So if you haven't voted, vote. If you're not registered, get registered and vote if you're eligible to vote. So your vote will matter. The other thing is the power structure. Most poor people don't vote, and for whatever reason, and rich people vote, and they make the economy in their favor. So if you don't have a lot of means, exercise your vote. And I'll talk more about voting rights and and your right to vote, and try to motivate people to vote. That's how we can overcome this tragedy that's going on in the United States of America. I'm Charles Van Morgan, live YouTube. Thank you all for listening. Subscribe. If you like the message, share it. We're going against the people in power to vote them out, to get rid of them, talking about how crooked they are. It's easy. So share your stories in the comments, and let's vote these thugs out of office. The things they do are horrendous. And I'll be back live tomorrow again, 6:30, maybe 6:45, maybe a little bit later in the morning. Join me. Thank you all so very much. I'm getting such a huge audience. If you want to contribute to your fight to free journalism, unbridled, I'll tell you the truth, then please do. I'll drop the square icon in the comments along with my Cash App, and help us keep doing this, travel more across the state, cover more news stories that talk about how crooked the government is. There's so many of them, and try to encourage people to exercise their right to vote, and let's not allow the government to push us around. So let me read some of the comments, and then we'll be back on here tomorrow at 6:45 maybe in the morning, and talk about some more issues. And every morning, Monday through Saturday, we'll be on here. Thank you all. Share, like, comment. Let me read the comments, and then we'll get the heck off here till tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed the show, the commentary, the truthful dialogue that fights the dirty government. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to let them know you listen. Just listen. It's getting kind of loud here in all this construction. Somebody's got some money building some stuff, don't it? Well, it's the crooked people in government power got all the money, don't they? They tear down new buildings at UT to build even newer ones. Yeah, for the rich people. So let me read some of the comments, and then we'll get off here. Thank you all so much. God bless you all, I pray. Let me read some of the comments, and then I'll let you go. So yeah, let's see what we got here. We have to ignore you. Okay. Go ahead. That doesn't look like you are, because you're on here. You're not ignoring me. So I don't understand what that means. On here ignoring me. All right. That's kind of an oxymoron. Let's see. Man, there's a bunch of comments. Thank y'all so much. Let's see. We'll go here to the top. Somebody called me a bad name. Okay. Okay, yeah. No, I'm white. You look like Jeremy Clarkson. Make America great again. That's right. Yo, daddy. Okay, let's go, dogs. Yeah. No, hopefully the Vols win. Give me money. I don't have any to give you. What type of topics do you talk about on this channel of yours? Government, corruption, and voting. Hi, Alex Supe. Russell Lister, John 3:16. That's right. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Amen, brother. Did Darlene have a daughter named Ann? I don't know, maybe. Hello, bro, from Bernal. Police is absolutely needed and should be shown the utmost respect. Yeah, when they do right, they should. I wasn't shown respect. When they do right, they should. When they do wrong, They shouldn't. They're not God. Message retracted. Ghost, yes, you became a cop doesn't grant you automatic respect. That is earned, and some cops ego trippers. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, buddy. I don't think a jury can make judgments on constitutional rights. Isn't that the judge's job to do? No, it's not. No. They leave that up to a jury. A judge decides if it could be decided by a jury. By the people, we the people have the power. We just think they have rule. That's right. Cedric Johnson, thank you. Allah, yeah. Save Israel from Hamas, brother, please. That's right. God bless Israel. Noski said hi. That's what they do, brother. Try to intimidate until they get their way, and then when they still can't get their way, they go around your back and change the rules. That's absolutely right. LaSalle, thank you. In qualified immunity. That's right. Said hi. Roger Joe, Tennessee, huh? Susan Dwayne said hi. Make Avery, you can meet force with force. I know plenty of veterans that are getting fed up. Yeah, that's right. The police are at all worried about your safety. If one of them fell all in danger, they would immediately throw the ideal of your safety in the trash. That's right. You actually think this is the best way to spend your time? Yeah, I do. It's, a lot of people listening to me, getting the word out. If you know something better, then let me know. Hey, John Goodman, do you think your comment is a good way to spend your time? Yeah, I do. Does your parking space have your name on it? Yeah, it did, because I paid for it. So it shouldn't have. Does your house have your name on it, or your cup have your name on it? Just because it doesn't have your name on it, that doesn't make any sense. So, Dr. Goopy, you're loopy. Maybe you can find a pro bono kick butt attorney and sue that guy at Hilton and the Hilton Corporation. The more publicity, the better. Take pictures of that sign before they change it. Yeah. See, I went to law school, graduated from law school. I can pro bono. I can sue myself. You're on drugs. No, I'm not. Yeah. That gaslighting. He does look like John Goodman. I hear you, Pops. Stay strong out there. Thank you. They underfunded and underpaid. I think this is more of our civil liberties case. That's right. Said hi. They are throwing terrorist charges out like that. Yeah. I mean, you're wasting your time insulting a stranger on the internet. Yeah, he is. Because you're not talking their power and control. Word for it. Cops these days live off ego, and they follow whatever the rich guy says because they look at them as their ego twin. That's right. Anthony P. said hi. Hello. What city, brother? Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm sick of them thinking they are above the law. That's right. I am too. Thank you. Not all of them, but most of them. That's right. Not all. And sadly, they are all in cohorts with each other. Yeah, they are. Knoxville, Tennessee. That's right. Beverly Brown. Even if there are officers who don't agree with what the other officers are doing, they follow suit in this us versus them world we live in. That's right. Devonic, totally fair. Said hi. Max or brief. You should definitely film every interaction you have with police. That's right. You should. Can't argue with that. All Uber and Lyft drivers should be background checked and fingerprinted as well. Yeah, they should. Respect greetings from the Netherlands. Hey, Netherlands. They do. They're corrupt. That's right. Like law-abiding matters anymore. Beverly Brown. That's right. If the cops do say you suspect of anything, you should verbally invoke your Fifth Amendment rights and shut up. Just do not answer. That's right. Deep breaths, fam. I'm the same level of passionate. Frustrated old man complaining and whining. Yeah. Frustrated old educated man complaining and telling you what to do about it. H.D. Bundy, a little more than what you're doing. I got to remind myself to breathe hard. Cameras on phones have come a long way. Technology is awesome. That's right. Chauffeur license should be across the board. They all want to put people in check. Life is a game of chess, really, than reality. Yeah. You ever heard of flock safety? Yeah, this is the AI shit is going to ruin everything we had. I've been to Vegas 3 times, only had one pleasant ride. The rest didn't speak English, the seatbelts didn't work, and one driver literally fell asleep at a stop sign right there on the strip. Laugh out loud. Now they can use biometrics, and definitely should, because this is exactly why. Or they can run for president. Good morning, raise hell till the shit stops. Okay, yep. CPJ said hi. CJP. Keep raising hell, my friend. I will, Matt. DNA can prove your innocence, that's for sure. Butter. Law school said hi. Bauer whom lives. Go to dentist.
Yeah, I can't afford it. I thought you were John Goodman for a minute. I'm better looking at him. Legit, all types of phones have biometrics where you use your fingerprints too. Uber could surely make drivers get them and have fingerprint. Yeah, they could. They don't want to. The Volunteers, Big T, Saint fans, I'm going to vote this year. Thank you, Automatic. John Goodman looks great. Love Trump. Hey, man, go ahead. Vote. I love Trump. Voting against them. Yeah, I noticed that they now get triggered when a driver asks, I have to identify. They then start ripping you out the car, no matter if you identify or not. That is the worst crime ever. Vote all Republicans. Don't be a libtard. I'm voting independent. I voted birthday party. Trump, Trump, Trump. There we go. Thugs are on both sides. Solid choice. No more coffee. Politics a waste of time. No, they're not. You can make a difference. God bless Trump. You have too much down to City Hall and change your voting registration as an unaffiliated party. God smite Trump. I'm voting for the party who will be the GOP. Do not vote independent. It's a good cause, but it won't work. Maybe. Yes, I wanted cake. Let's see. Let's go all the way to the bottom here. Man, they get what they get into. I'm spoiling my ballot. Intentionally, more people should, where the options are. Okay, I've read a bunch of these. I'm not going to read them all. Thank y'all so very much. Remember, God loves you, and I do too. Till tomorrow. Thank you.